Morning, Jonathan.
It's Friday.
Friday, September 4th. Morning is broken.
And we are your consecrated hosts.
Father Jeff, consecrated by Holy Orders.
Jonathan, consecrated by baptism.
I think most people are getting ready for a 3-day weekend.
Most people.
Most people. You know, it's a normal weekend for me. Saturday, Mass, Sunday, Masses, Monday, regular day off. No holiday for me.
Is this your least favorite holiday as a priest?
Labor Day?
Yeah. So no, it's not really a holiday?
It's not really a holiday. I don't know. I mean, Labor Day is... It's kind of that unofficial end to summer. There
is the crispness in the air.
No, it's not Christmas.
Crisp.
Oh.
Crisp.
Crisp. That's like... It's nowhere near Christmas yet.
No.
There's a crispness in the air. The days of late have been, I mean, we've had some warm days, but, you know, in the evening it kind of goes down.
Yeah.
The humidity's been kind of nice. I mean, we may still get, a little heat. Sometimes October can be a little steamy at the beginning. I remember you can have that. You can also have snow.
You never know in October.
October could go anyway. Yeah, I like to think of September as the transition month. That July and August are clearly centered in summer.
Yep.
And then September is when we ease out of summer and into fall. It is the beginning of fall later this month.
It is.
That would make
always
sense.
Right around my birthday. It always comes back to my birthday.
Just in case you've forgotten, Jonathan's birthday is sometime in this month of September.
September 21st.
September 21st, apparently. That's what he says. I don't know if he's telling the truth.
Oh, that's the truth. That's exciting.
I'll believe it.
And we have
a party.
Football usually starts. I say usually because, well...
What's going on
It's
these
kind
days?
of starting, just not really...
Yeah, I know. Everything is kind of, but not really.
Yeah, except for my birthday.
Well, we could make it a kind of a not really sort of celebration.
I guess
I look forward to that.
Oh, man. I think it's on a Monday, so we don't have a show.
Maybe we'll have a special show. We'll have a special birthday show.
Lord have mercy.
I'll throw you a surprise party.
I don't even know the origins of Labor Day.
We should have probably looked that up.
Yeah.
The origins of Labor Day. I think it's a day to celebrate the workers. I don't know when it probably... I'm guessing... I'm not even going to make a guess because it's going to demonstrate
that's what I was thinking. But I was thinking, if you're in a pandemic or something like this, and it makes sense, it's like... Well, the whole world needs a break right now. Like, if we could have a day where it's just like, forget about it, just take the day for yourself, and then that's how Labor Day originated, it wouldn't shock me because...
I wonder if it is the capitalist response to the communist celebration of the worker, that in a number of communist and socialist societies, there was the People's Workers' Day, the Labor Day, to show how valuable you are as a member of society, as a worker bee who's building up you live for the state and we celebrate you, and then
you are important. Look, we're going to give you this day.
You are a cog in the wheel. And so I wonder if it has to do with something like that. So we're not going to speculate too much because it might just demonstrate how ignorant we are. But we'll look this up and let you know maybe on Tuesday following Labor Day.
Yes.
When we're back, oh, by the way, this is what you were celebrating yesterday. So you might be having a picnic. You might be going camping. You might be, I'm sure it probably will involve something outdoors because a lot of the indoor stuff is still kind of shady.
The new sea lion exhibit is opening up at the zoo.
Is it?
It is.
When is that? Like this weekend?
Later today.
Wow. Look at that. I saw that it was going to be, I'm sure they'll have a limited... I saw that they want you to start buying tickets online in advance so that you can assure that you will get in because they only can let so many people in, obviously.
Yep, and so at first you had to go along a certain path.
Right.
And it was very directed.
One-way traffic.
Now it's not one-way traffic.
Really?
It's more free.
But the indoor exhibits, are they still closed?
No, they're limiting capacity in those,
okay.
and so they have someone at the door with a counter.
With the little thing, like they still do at the stores, big box stores and whatnot.
We've gone a couple times, and it's not too busy.
It has been years since I have been to the zoo. I love going to the zoo, but it has been years.
Oh, you haven't even seen the African exhibit?
No, I haven't seen the new Africa.
Asian Highlands?
I never saw the butterfly house. So I think that was the last new thing that opened. So I went, and then whenever that opened, that tells you how long it's been since I've been to the zoo.
Then it's a completely different zoo.
I know. I want to go.
It's much better.
I used to love going to the zoo when I was a kid because I loved animals. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a zookeeper.
And look at you now.
Look at me. I'm tending the animals, the Lord's flock, keeping them in the right direction. What?
We're the animals. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, do you have any big Labor Day plans?
No, we're packing.
Oh, yeah, you're still moving. When do you actually have to move?
September 17th.
Is that before or after your birthday? I forget.
It's before. September 21st is the birthday.
The 21st, right.
It's we didn't get many options. You know, you don't get.
If you want to send Jonathan cards to his new address, here it is. You can wish him happy birthday and send them there. I don't know if
send it to the parish office. I'll be sure to get it there unless someone intercepts it.
Yeah, you might have to, censor the mail. Check it out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we don't get a choice on the closing date, really. I mean, they try to give you a couple options, but
right.
With the people we're buying the house from, they didn't have many options, and so it comes kind of at a rough time. We have a lot going on.
But at least it's not winter. Because I think moving during a snowstorm or when it's really, really cold, at least that time of year, hopefully the weather will be decent enough where you can have the doors open and move things in and not have to worry about it being too humid, too cold, too wet, it'll probably rain that day.
Yeah.
But,
I'm looking forward to this being the last move for a while. So I moved into college in 2004.
Okay.
And so I moved into my dorm. And when you're in college, you have to move in and out of your dorm every year.
I suppose.
And then I moved into an apartment, and I moved into a different apartment. So starting that time, that 2004, I moved every year up until 2017.
Wow.
And then I stayed in an apartment for 2 years, and now we've been in a house for 3 almost.
You need to settle for a bit.
And so the longest we've been in is almost just about 3 years.
Well, we're gonna have
since
to
2004.
We're gonna have to schedule a house blessing.
Yes.
Like around that time, either just before you move in or right after. And
yes.
Throw some holy water and some salt around there and scare the demons away.
Yes.
Absolutely. Get that a blessed place.
Yeah. Good. I don't know if everybody knows you can have a priest come and bless your home.
Yeah.
So
it's a thing.
That's a thing.
It's a thing. And then it's good then, I encourage people then to renew their home blessing then as a family, especially during the Epiphany Tide, when we mark, I chalk the doors. I chalk the doors of my house here. It's got the CMB, Casper, Melchior, Balthazar, with the date above my front door in chalk. So this house has been blessed annually. It's a good thing to do. So we'll talk about that. Good. Should we still be doing this little program here in the middle of the winter?
And the salt.
And we got some salt. Blessing of salt. Good exorcistic thing.
Yeah, you can put it in your food.
Jonathan, it does preserve your food. September is, one of the things we failed to talk about at the beginning of the month is September is the month in honor of the 7 sorrows of Mary.
That's right.
Every month has some kind of dedication. Most people are familiar with the month of May being dedicated to Mary, the month of October being dedicated to the Holy Rosary, and that's really the 2 big ones that we know.
Yeah, I think so.
June, maybe people know is dedicated to the Sacred Heart. July, possibly to the Precious Blood. I know we've talked about them. August, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and September now, the 7 sorrows or the 7 dolors of Mary. And so oftentimes, and her feast day is this month, September 15th, which is the day after the triumph of the cross. So it makes sense that Mary standing next to the cross, we would recognize Mary as the sorrowful mother.
Yes.
But what are those 7 sorrows, Jonathan? Let's see how many you can name. Ready, go. First sorrow of Mary.
Prophecy of Simeon.
The prophecy of Simeon. A sword too shall pierce your heart, dear, is what he said to her in the temple.
Yes.
Second sorrow of Mary. Has something to do with King Herod.
It was King Herod.
He slaughtered a bunch of little kids. The flight into Egypt.
Flight into Egypt. I was still thinking of Jesus' life, and I'm King Herod.
The flight into Egypt, that Joseph
Egypt.
and Mary had to fly to Egypt and leave their homeland for the safety of their kid.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Losing Jesus in the temple.
Losing Jesus in the temple. Age 12, he goes, wanders off, does his own thing. Number 4.
He got lost for a long time because we're already to the Passion.
Yeah. Number 4.
Jesus encounters Mary on the walk to
Jesus
Calvary.
encounters Mary on the road to Calvary. Number 5.
Crucifixion.
Mary under the cross. She's standing there with Christ under the cross. The crucifixion. Number 6.
Now, there's a couple different ways.
Yeah, but let's do the official one.
The official one?
They're found in the Stations of the Cross. Hint, hint.
Oh, so this is the preparation and burial?
Yeah, the deposition.
Deposition.
The Pietà. That statue, basically Mary cradling the arms of her dead son. And finally,
The burial.
the burial. The burial of Christ, closing the stone.
Deposition.
The deposition, the bringing down from the cross.
Couldn't think of that word.
And there it is. So those are the 7 sorrows of Mary. There's a whole rosary dedicated to the 7 sorrows of Mary. You should go look that up and maybe take up that devotion this month if we happen to have a free day and have nothing else to talk about. Maybe on the Our Lady of Sorrows, we'll talk about the rosary of the 7 sorrows.
Yeah.
But today, we've got a chapter to get into. Screwtape Letters, chapter 7, letter 7. Boy, there are some prescient things in here, John. That's my word of this book, prescient.
Oh my goodness.
And if you don't know what prescient means, it means foresight. That boy, the things he wrote about were true in the 40s, and they are equally true in the 20s. And not the roaring 20s.
It's really scary almost.
It is kind of
reading
scary
this
because it's like
chapter.
you're reading what's going on today. It's like he did write this for today. So let's just kick it off.
Okay.
The chapter begins kind of where the whole book began. That there are two tensions that the evil one, when tempting us. On the one hand, we want humans to disbelieve. I mean, we don't want humans to disbelieve. Or we do want humans to disbelieve. It's kind of complicated the way he talks about it, because he says when humans disbelieve us, we lose all of the fear and the terror, and they can't become afraid of us. So, but at the same time, if they don't believe in us, then they're probably not also going to believe in God or danger of evil or temptation. What is sin? What is evil? You lose the whole concept of sin, the whole concept of evil, and all of that. So on the one hand, there's that. On the other hand, if they do believe in us, then we can't make them atheists because they believe in spirits,
right,
which means they believe in God. So there's this tension that we want them to believe in us so that we can scare them, but we don't want them to believe in us because if they believe in us, they're probably also going to believe in God.
It's an interesting juxtaposition.
It is, it's always walking the fine.
Yeah.
I mean, he almost sets up what's to come, that even the devil wants to avoid some extremes.
For sure.
Aim for the sweet spot where we can capture someone and tear him down.
Right. So, for instance, believe in him, just that he doesn't have any power.
Yeah, or believe in him as a story or as a myth that there is that we've used the devil as a way to explain negative energy, or use the devil as the way that human beings have explained how evil is in the world. So it's not really true, but it's just this construct that we've used to explain.
It's just enough truth to do damage, but really minimizing the whole impact.
Yeah, exactly. So he describes then that what happens into the minds of human beings is that we've got people now who will talk about a life force, or they will worship their feelings and their passions like sex. And
he wrote that
cycle.
before the sexual revolution.
Well, and I don't even think we even have to think about that. I mean, think about this today. We talk about a life force. I hear more and more people talk about the universe. Like, the universe has plans for me, or
Right.
the universe has destined this to happen.
We talked a little bit about it yesterday with the good vibes and the
Yeah.
good feelings,
Yeah, the
and
energy that the universe is
positive
creating.
energy.
The worship of sex. I think we could frame that all as gender ideology today. Who am I based on how I feel and whom I'm attracted to or not attracted to? And everything gets defined by me rather than by God. God created them male and female. God created human beings to be male or female. That is who we are. And what human beings are doing now is taking what God has created and saying, nope, we're going to pretend you didn't create things male and female, and we're going to recreate ourselves and make us into whatever we want. There's not just two genders, there's pan-genderism. You can be male, you can be male-female, you can be female-male, you can be neither, you could be binary, you could be non-binary, you can be cisgender, you can be this gender, all gender. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry, it's ridiculous. I make no apologies. It is ridiculous.
It just, there is no end.
Right.
It is.
When you take God out of the picture, it opens up to everything else.
And when you follow those things to their natural conclusion, you can get pretty ridiculous, because you can get to the point where he says, I'm a dog and I want to identify as a dog, and you need to accept that.
I was thinking about that today. I remember watching those talk shows, in the 80s, 90s, whatever, and there's these people on there who make themselves into something else, like the snake man or whatever.
Right.
He's had his tongue clipped so it's forked. He's had his eyeballs literally changed so that they're serpentine. He's had his entire body shaved and tattooed so that it looks like skin, or the reptilian.
Scales,
He's
yep.
had his teeth, shaved or grinded so that they're sharp or whatever. There's Catman who's done the same thing. I mean, it's just like, I feel more like a snake, so I am going to change my body. And the word that we would use is mutilate. I'm going to mutilate my body to make it something that it is not. And so if I say I no longer want to be a man, I'm going to not have a gender change or whatever, but I'm going to mutilate my body and turn it into a woman, or vice versa. There's something, it's crazy that he wrote about this in the 40s, that we are worshiping these things that we feel, or these things that we imagine, without worshiping reality. Like, what did God, who is God?
It's living in a fantasy world.
Let's push him into the world of mythology. So that kind of sets us up for this notion then of extremism.
Yes.
He talks about in the next paragraph that we want to make our patient, remember it's World War II, so we want to make him either a patriot or a pacifist. We want him to take up arms, or we want him to refuse to take up arms. And we want to have him way over here or way over there.
Right.
All extremes, except extreme devotion to the enemy, i.e. God, is to be encouraged. So unless you're devoted to God, the evil one wants to make you devoted wholeheartedly, 100% into the extreme on anything else. Anything. Doesn't matter what. Doesn't matter what. Some people, some ages are lukewarm and complacent and want things. Other ages, and this is where I thought, oh my gosh, he's talking about today. Other ages, of which the present is one, are unbalanced and prone to faction, and it is our business to inflame them. There's these small groups bound together by some interest which other men dislike or ignore, and it tends to develop inside their little hothouses of mutual admiration, and towards the outer world a great deal of pride and hatred.
I don't see that anywhere.
boy, it's like you just turn on the news and that's what you see. We have factions that get together amongst themselves. They say all the things that they all believe and they all want to hear, and then they launch the missiles at the other faction and everyone else and say, look at how bad and how wrong and how uninspired or whatever the other side is. Look at how dangerous this is. It's a complete pulling away into factionism. And I don't know, rarely is life that simple.
No, there's not. I mean, one easy way to say it is you have extreme right Republicans, extreme left liberals, and there is common ground. Not right now.
There really
it doesn't seem to be common ground.
There could be.
But it's not allowed. But right now, because of how divided it is.
You have to stay inside your faction. You have to stay inside this thing over here.
And so the candidates that are getting brought up tend to be so much further and pushing further.
I remember when I was in college, that was the very thing. It said the primary system, in a sense, is broken, is what breaks the two-party system, because in order to rise in your party, you have to be far to one side, to that side, completely. So the primaries do a good job because only this party is voting for their candidate. Mm-hmm. They're going to vote for the most traditional conservative or the most liberal progressive. And then when they get to the general election, it's like then they try to be as moderate as all get out because I need to now be attractive to the other side, to the other group of people. But it's impossible to do so because we've already pulled from the far left and the far right, and we're setting them up as candidates that do not speak to the majority of the people who live in the middle.
As they work their way up, if you concede towards the other direction, you get voted off.
Yeah, exactly.
So
look at them. They're really a secret progressive, or they're really a secret conservative. We got to get rid of them.
The tribe has spoken.
The tribe. Poor Survivor.
Yeah, they still haven't started filming season 41.
No, all of these things, we're not going to have it this fall. I wonder if... No. Never mind. Some thoughts need to remain inside. Then, this kind of factionism, what the evil one wants to do is bleed that into the church.
Yes.
And so here he says, we want the church to be small. Not only that fewer men may know the enemy, but also that those who do will acquire the uneasy intensity and the defensive self-righteousness of a secret society or clique. So once it's like we want the church to, we want to continue to constrict the church.
Yep.
So that
this is the devil speaking.
Exactly. Fewer people believe in God. Like if the smaller we make the church, the more unbelievers there are going to be, and that's a win for the evil one.
That's obvious.
And then those who remain, the temptation inside is going to be able to say, look at how privileged we are. Look at how blessed we are because we found something that is true and good and knowledgeable and nobody else wants it. So we're just going to build up our hyper-devotedness and we're going to be uber Catholic and we're going to, in a sense, wish that everybody else saw and heard and experienced what we saw and hear and see and hear and experience. And I think you do see a little bit about that. You know, there is that tension.
Yeah.
You know, it's a strange tension as I've watched the church kind of be in the course of my life. I think there was a lot of this kind of tension in the 80s and early 90s. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of, in Catholicism, you really had to be either a conservative or a liberal Catholic. And it blows my mind because Catholicism is conservative and Catholicism is liberal. That Catholicism is conservative when it comes to faith and morals. We cannot change the unchangeable eternal law of God. So there's some things that can never change, no matter how much you want to change them, and no matter how much the world is changing around you, they cannot be changed because it's the way it is. And yet the church is exceptionally liberal when it comes to finding new ways to reach out to people, to pour God's mercy and love and forgiveness on those who are broken and wandering and sinning, that there is such a desire to reach out and heal and lift up and bring home. So I don't know why there is such a tension sometimes between the conservative Catholic, the liberal Catholic.
It's there.
We should be both.
Yeah, it should be you are Catholic.
You are Catholic. And as a Catholic, I embrace this traditional understanding of the faith and morals, the moral life. And as a Catholic, I am going to find ways to lift up the poor and the lowly and the destitute and the sinner, and I'm going to do all of that. If I just find myself being a Latin-loving Catholic over here, and that's all I'm about, well, that's not complete. If I find myself only being a peace and justice in the world Catholic, well, that's not complete either. I need both of those. I need to embrace the whole.
Both and.
Both and. I mean, it's just incredible when you see some of the great saints. They were so progressive in reaching out to the world, and yet they were so conservatively traditional when it came to their faith and morals. We need those kind of people.
Right.
We need people to be radically rooted in the middle.
I think JP2 and Mother Teresa, who are the closest saints to us, kind of.
Yeah.
We got to see them in our lifetime, is a great example of reaching out, but then also having that deep spiritual, conservative
something that
side
locked them down.
Yeah, it would be hard to label them either conservative or liberal with their actions and
right.
deeds.
Exactly. There was just such a great balance, and St. Augustine will often talk about virtue being found in the via media, that it is not found in the extremes. When you move into an extreme, you move into the area of the devil. That here is vice. Virtue is, for example, courage. Courage is a virtue. Courage is in the middle of the road. If you go too far and you have too much courage, then you move into a foolhardiness, where I just plow ahead no matter what. And that's dangerous to me and dangerous to others.
Yes.
If you don't have enough courage, too little courage, then you move into cowardice, and I'm afraid to do anything. And I don't stand up for what is right, or reach out, or practice charity, or do any of those things.
So you don't do any good for yourself or others.
Exactly. We harm others, we harm others. It's courage is in the middle, where it is a balance. And so that really should color our lives.
Yeah.
Our devotedness to God should be extreme, but everything else should be in the middle. So I think that brings us here to the last page, which he really encourages then his patient, or he encourages Wormwood to bring his patient to take his view of the world and religiousize that. Make him be a patriot, capital P, or a pacifist, capital P, and let that be a part of his religion. So when we let the world kind of be our goal, and that's what becomes dangerous, when we live only for the world. Like, my religion is geared towards living better in the world. Mm-hmm. If my religion is only about working with immigrant populations, or it's only with teaching kids their catechism, or if it's only with standing up for those who are experiencing injustice, or if it's only whatever it's only with, like, my goal is something in the world. I'm trying.
The reason for the faith is for something of this world.
Right. Like that's all it is. But the reason for our faith is not for this world. Our faith is to lead us out of the world to heaven. And if we set our faith on the world and the world alone, then we fail.
Yeah.
There are those who've taken the Holy Father's call to protect the environment and to care for the world as being only geared towards the world. Like, if we do that, then we're only living for the world. And that's not at all what the Holy Father is calling us to do. The Holy Father is saying, you take care of this world because the way you treat the world is the way you express your creativity in God, which is destined for eternity. And if you do not act like God in the world, then you will not have a place in heaven because you have not practiced well on this earth. And there are just some people who want to twist that one way or the other and say, oh, look, the Holy Father is just a progressive environmentalist, where it's only about the things of the world. Well, you know, it's funny because I've seen people take the writings of Pope Benedict, who himself was a great environmentalist. Many people don't know that. And the things that he did to support the cleaning up of the earth and to caring for the environment. And you read the things of Benedict and you say, read this, who wrote that? Oh, clearly that's Francis. No, it was the ultra-conservative Pope Benedict who wrote that. Not because it's progressive, but because it's Catholic.
And if you take a step back, instead of, not thinking of these tree huggers, if you want to politics, but you go to, like, I went to Yellowstone.
Yes.
And it's God's beauty in nature, and I encounter God through that. Mm-hmm. Because that is his creation, and he uses that to reveal himself. Then you go to a war-torn country, or maybe a city where after all these riots have happened, and there's destruction and pain and ugliness. If we don't take care of the world, that is the end result.
Yes.
Not that you can't encounter or see God in that, but it is much more difficult to see God in ugliness because he's not ugliness.
No, God's not ugly.
So you're going to have to really search for the beauty of that little flower that was still able to rise above the ashes. Right. Something like that. So without all the politics and everything else, the world is intended for us to encounter God's beauty, encounter God.
Exactly.
And when we destroy it, you're destroying God.
People want to create factions in today's world and hurl the missiles at the other side so that they themselves can feel better about the things that they have staked their life on.
Justification.
If you have staked your life on the Republican Party platform, or on the Democratic Party platform, or on the Socialist Party platform, or the Libertarian platform, whatever, if you have staked your life, and then that's all you live and breathe and fight for, what a sad, sad existence. But if we stake our life on Jesus Christ, then there is nothing of this world that can bring us down. And in fact, we then can become an agent that lifts it up.
Amen.
So I get out of those little corners of listening to only what I like to hear and tearing down what I don't like, and move back to the center, the via media, where virtue is, and avoid the extremism of the vices. I titled this Usurping Heaven.
Usurping Heaven.
Like, we're going to take heaven and we're going to make it on earth, and we're going to make earth heaven. And if we just keep believing that earth can be heaven, then that's a problem. But that's what the evil one wants to do. He wants to usurp heaven. Get us not to focus on the kingdom of God, but to focus on the kingdom of the world and fight and die for everything here rather than fighting and dying for Jesus Christ who died for us. What'd you name it?
Keep your eyes on the prize, parentheses, God.
Aha! Not the world.
Not the world. So, speaking of titles, write your titles down, submit it below, and then we will read a couple of them maybe if we get enough. If they can become a thing,
yeah, if they're
we
really
will start
good,
taking them at the beginning of the shows.
And if you have any questions, You know what? Why don't you email us your questions? Email to, here, we'll put up the address, Jonathan's email address, and my email address. And if you have a question that you want us to engage, or that you see in the book, or kind of in the themes that we've been talking about, throw us your questions, and we'll try to answer those as we go forward.
All right.
Well, enjoy your barbecue and your celebration and whatever the heck you're going to have for Labor Day, and we will see you again on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Bye-bye.